What's up YouTube? It's the one and only Legend of Winning, aka Low, and I'm back with another video. Now, with the NBA playoffs in full effect, what I decided to do was take a trip down memory lane, highlighting all of the fails in NBA playoff history. The reason why I want to do this is because a lot of people may actually not know the things that happened back in the day, or we may have forgotten some of the more minute details that happened in recent history. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a thumbs up. And also, if there's one thing that I can ask of you all, there is a poll I have on the video. If you click the card in the top right hand corner, click on it, answer the poll. It would desperately help me out because it's going to help me make my next video. But with all that being said, people, let's get right into the video. Coming in at number 5, we have the 1984 NBA Finals. Now, this series was extremely special because this was the first time we got to see Larry Bird and Magic Johnson match up in the NBA Finals. On one hand, you had the Boston Celtics, which was led by Larry Bird. At the time, the Boston Celtics was losing some footing and dominance in the NBA, especially Eastern Conference, since the prior season the 76ers had built a super team by adding Moses Malone. Their response by doing so was adding a future Hall of Famer by the name of Dennis Johnson. Because of this addition to the team, a lot of people felt like they were favored to make it to the finals, in which they did. And then on the other hand, you have the Los Angeles Lakers, which was led by the dominant duo in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson. And with the experience favoring the Lakers, a lot of people felt that Magic Johnson and Kareem should come through and end up winning the championship. However, things really didn't pan out that way, and a lot of blame has to go on Magic Johnson. See, in Game 2, Magic Johnson had a massive mental lapse by just dribbling out the clock even though the game was tied.
Johnson keeps looking inside. 2 seconds, 1 second, and they don't get it off.
Due to the mistake, the game went into overtime and Boston went on to win Game 2. Fast forward to Game 4 and you have a very similar situation. Magic Johnson dribbling out the clock even though the score is tied and then eventually turning the ball over. The game thus goes into overtime and Magic Johnson misses key free throws, and yet again they lose another game. However, even with all of those mistakes, the series still gets pushed to a Game 7, but even then down the stretch, Magic Johnson made another costly mistake, turning the ball over and basically sealing the series in Boston's favor. Number 4, 1987 Eastern Conference Finals. The late 80s in the NBA was a very interesting time. The reason for this is because more established teams and players such as Larry Bird with the Celtics, Magic Johnson with the Lakers, and Moses Malone, Dr. J with the Sixers, they were trying to reap the benefits of being on great teams and trying to win as many championships before their prime started to expire. However, on the other hand, you had younger players such as Michael Jordan and Karl Malone who sought to lead the NBA in a new direction, and they seemed like they were talented enough to do so. But in the middle of all of this, you had players and teams such as Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons and Dominique Wilkins with the Atlanta Hawks who felt left out of the conversation. These players were great individually, however, possibly weren't on good enough teams to take advantage of the small window that was given to them. But all of that changed with the Pistons after they picked up future Hall of Famer Joe Dumars in the draft in 1985. Fast forward to 1987, the bad boy Pistons found themselves matched up in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Larry Bird-led Boston Celtics. Now, like I stated before, there was a small window of opportunity for a team like the Pistons to dominate at any point of this era, so every opportunity really counts, which is something that I'm pretty sure Isaiah Thomas knew, but he still made a timely error. See, in Game 5, Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons were up late into the game. As they started to celebrate the inevitable win that they were going to be able to steal while being away at Boston, Isaiah Thomas may have rushed into a mistake that he matter of fact, he most definitely did not want to do. The costly turnover by Isaiah Thomas turned into an easy 2 points from the Boston Celtics, in which they end up winning Game 5. However, the Detroit Pistons were still able to push the series to Game 7, in which they still had a really good opportunity. However, a poor shooting performance from Isaiah Thomas basically was the inevitable demise of the Detroit Pistons in the conference finals in 1987. But wait, it gets way worse than that. Because after the series was over with, multiple media members asked Isaiah Thomas how he felt about Larry Bird, in which he famously quoted,
"If he was black, he'd be just another good guy.
Insinuating the reason why Larry Bird got a lot of press coverage and why people just felt like he was a great player isn't necessarily because he was a great player, but simply because he was white. Going back to Game 5 with that costly turnover that Isaiah Thomas committed towards the end of the game, Isaiah Thomas is the one who made the bad pass, which translated into the turnover. And the person who stole the ball, ironically enough, was Larry Bird. So was Larry Bird able to steal the ball because he was white, or because he's just a better player than you? Now, Isaiah Thomas may not ever answer that question, but this right here was a massive fail to say the least. Number 3, the 1997 NBA Finals. In 1997, there was a lot of controversy going on. The Chicago Bulls were still dominating the NBA. However, Michael Jordan didn't receive the MVP award simply because a lot of people just got tired of giving Michael that award. So what they decided to do was give the award to Karl Malone, who led the Utah Jazz to a very respectable record. However, again, Michael should have won the award. And because of this, there was a lot of people in the media trying to validate their reason to why they gave the award to Karl Malone, and went as far as to claim that Karl Malone and Utah Jazz could potentially be better than Chicago Bulls led by Michael Jordan. Well, in 1997, we finally got that answer in the NBA Finals. Michael Jordan, just as always, came to play and did not disappoint. However, on the other hand, Karl Malone, let's just say the mailman doesn't always deliver. Man, that was a corny line. Jesus Christ. The disappointment started in Game 1. The Utah Jazz and Chicago Bulls found themselves tied at the end of the game, and Karl Malone was on the free throw line and had the possibility to put the Utah Jazz up in the game, which meant that the Utah Jazz were going to have a 2-point lead late into Game 1 and possibly be able to steal a game while in Chicago. However, Karl Malone choked, missed both free throws, and then on the other end, Michael Jordan made his shot and sealed the game away and led the Bulls to win Game 1. Fast forward to Game 5 and you have a very similar situation. Close game, down the stretch, Chicago Bulls are only up by 1 and they have the ball in their possessions with 15 seconds left to go. Any sensible player would just foul and put them on the free throw line. However, Karl Malone had a mental lapse and decided not to.
2-1. You got a foul right now. You got a foul. Karl Malone, what are you doing? We're down to 10 seconds. You got a foul. As they open the floor.
Then in Game 6, Karl Malone disappointed yet again. Dennis Rodman held Karl Malone to only 7 rebounds, and in a game that was decided by 4 points, Karl Malone went 7 of 15 from the free throw line. For my younger viewers out there who are not that knowledgeable about Karl Malone, this is the reason why a lot of people view Karl Malone as being overrated. When it came into clutch situations, Karl Malone quite consistently disappeared, especially on the free throw line. Number 2, the 2016 NBA Finals. Now, where do I begin? I'm pretty sure a lot of us already are aware about this series, but let's just take a trip down memory lane real quick. On one hand, you have the Golden State Warriors. This Warriors team was so dominant that they went on to break the record for the most wins in the regular season, with having a record of 73-9. Not only that, throughout the entire season, multiple media members and fans deemed that Stephen Curry was the greatest player in the NBA. To pair with that acknowledgement, Stephen Curry became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. Because of this accomplishment, it was pretty safe to say that the Golden State Warriors were favored in the NBA Finals, despite LeBron James being featured on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if you didn't want to make a prediction before the series started, by Game 4 it seemed inevitable when the Warriors had a 3-1 lead. However, in Game 4, that's when the tide started to change. Draymond Green made a massive mistake by committing another technical foul and being suspended by Game 5. And in Game 5, that's when Kyrie Irving and LeBron James came alive, both of them posting up 41 points in the game and demolishing the Golden State Warriors. By Game 6, the Golden State Warriors got back Draymond Green. However, they were missing Andrew Bogut, but that still wasn't a necessary excuse to why the Golden State Warriors were consistently underperforming. However, all of that was just distractions from what happened in Game 7. See, in Game 7, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you, the series still came down to the last 5 minutes. And in this 5-minute stretch, you had multiple mistakes that were made by both teams. Both teams missing shots left and right, and everything basically came down to Stephen Curry guarding Kyrie Irving, Kyrie Irving pulling up for a 3, and we all know the rest. Now, the reason why this is number 2 on this list isn't necessarily because of what happened in the game itself. Yes, Draymond Green made a massive mistake, Stephen Curry made multiple mistakes, and even Klay Thompson, who criticized LeBron James, claimed that he was in his feelings in the middle of the series. And then in Game 7, once they lost, Klay Thompson didn't shake anybody's hands because, he was in his feelings. The reason why this is one of the biggest fails of all time in NBA history is because of social media. This ongoing joke how the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead can be found on multiple YouTube comments and Twitter posts, and this is something that is going to haunt Stephen Curry for the next 10 to 15 years. Number 1, the 2011 NBA Finals. Now, the 2011 NBA Finals is one of the most infamous fails in NBA history. The reason for this is because the fail spanned the entire season. In the offseason, LeBron James spit an hour-long special to announce the fact that he was going to Miami. Once he was in Miami, the Big Three thus threw a parade or a party to celebrate the fact that the team had assembled in Miami and prepared to win multiple championships. Fast forward to the NBA Finals, and it seemed as if LeBron James and the Miami Heat were going to be able to come through on their promise. The overpowered super team that was led by LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh matched up with a massive underdog with the Dallas Mavericks that was led by Dirk Nowitzki and a whole bunch of role players, a lot of which were way past their prime. Because of the obvious advantage that was given to Miami, a lot of people assumed that this was a shoo-in win for Miami and LeBron was going to be able to add his first ring to his resume. However, what ensued in the NBA Finals is something that even to this day people can't explain. In the series, you had multiple storylines. For one, the Miami Heat couldn't finish a game in the fourth quarter, blowing multiple 10-point leads. Then you have the dynamic between LeBron and D. Wade. In Game 2, LeBron James prematurely celebrated in front of the Dallas Mavericks bench because he assumed that Dwayne Wade delivered the dagger. However, like I stated before, they blew a massive lead and was on the wrong end of a 17-2 run. Then you had the off-court shenanigans from the duo as well, where Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were mocking the fact that Dirk Nowitzki potentially was ill in the end of Game 4. But the thing that really should be highlighted is what happened at Game 6. So in Game 6, the series wrapped up with the Dallas Mavericks beating the overpowered Miami Heat team. And you would believe that there would be some sense of being humbled with LeBron James. Again, this is a player that spent the entire regular season and preseason with the idea that they were going to be easily favored in the NBA Finals and walk away with a championship. However, while Dwayne Wade was shaking the hands of the opponents after the loss, LeBron James took an early trip back into the locker room, not acknowledging anybody whatsoever. Then to make matters worse, in the post-game interview, he had this to say to his critics.
At the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems that they had today.
The level of arrogance that LeBron displayed in this entire season was outrageous. This idea that he was entitled to win a championship just didn't make any sense whatsoever. And because of his decisions that he made this year, a lot of people still to this day hold this fail as one of the biggest in NBA history and the reason why LeBron can never be better than Michael Jordan. So, did you enjoy the video? If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below if you feel like I missed anything whatsoever. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and like I stated before in the early part of the video, there is a poll link to the video. Make sure you click on the card in the upper right hand corner to fill out the poll. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.